All right. Now that you've made the choice to join and you've made the right choice in picking a company, let's talk a little bit more about your choices up until now and how they've resulted in where you're at. You see, in order to move forward, we've got to first realize where we are at. In fact, charting a course requires that you know precisely your starting point. Let me give you an example. If I were going to give you directions from where I'm at to get to Toronto, Canada, if you followed the exact same directions, took the turn by turn and did everything perfectly, if you start from, say, Cincinnati and I happen to be in Texas, you are not going to end up in the same place. In fact, you're going to end up probably in the middle of nowhere. So a lot about moving forward is realizing where you're currently at. And in this program, we want to show you that you can get everything you want out of life by choosing a different destination. But also you've got to realize where you're starting from. You see, your choice is whether you chose to go to college or not, whether you chose to pursue a career or applied yourself at your job, or maybe you even started your own business. All those choices have resulted in where you're at. In order to change where you want to go, all you have to do is chart a new course, realizing where you're at. Take ownership for where you're at now, and let's chart your course moving forward. Now, this brings me to an exciting point. You see, up until now, a lot of us have chosen a business model that requires us to trade time for money. And no matter how hard we work, the more time we put in, the more money we make, then we have to worry about not having the time for our family and to do the things we want to do. And that's why many people, many top best-selling authors and financial advisors say it's almost impossible for someone to reach where they want to go by working a job. Now, let's think about this. A lot of people watching this video might say, well, you know, I don't know if I trade time for money. Well, let me give you a quick little scenario and we'll determine whether you're trading time for money, even if you own your own business or if you are self-employed. Let's think about this. If you decided today to not show up, meaning not go to your job or not show up at a client or whatever you particularly do, for 5 consecutive days. Now, I'm not talking about calling in and saying you're sick. I'm not talking, you can't return any phone calls, you can't return any emails, you can't leave any messages. Just disappear and do not show up. If you come into the day 5 and you show up at your job or at your clients and you still are employed, then you might not be trading time for money. But for many of those watching this video, you realize that if you even showed up, they'd be like, where are you? What are you doing? You'd have a lot of questions to answer. And if you are in that category, you probably are trading time for money. Now, the other disadvantage of this business model is that if you don't work, you don't get paid. And that's very true. Now, some people might say, well, I get a salary and I get paid no matter whether I show up or not. Well, let's think about that. If you are working for a salary is typically based on a 40-hour work week, right? When was the last time that you worked 40 hours? For most of us, we work 50, 60, 70, or 80 or plus. So the truth of the matter is that we all work some form of trading time for money, whether we're self-employed or even if we own our own business, if that business relies on us to be there. You see, it's still better to have your own business than to work for others, but the other disadvantage is that you're trading your work for someone else's dream. Now, when you own your own business, you're at least trading your work and your efforts for building an asset that now becomes yours. But what we want to show you now is the business model you have chosen that combines the best of all worlds. In fact, it's easy to start. It doesn't require a lot of money, as you know. You can get started immediately. You don't have to have a big degree. You don't have to have a lot of experience. All you need is desire and the right model. And you see, this is the model that you have chosen. This model is incredible. You see, with this model, you are no longer trading time for money. You can learn how to leverage time and how to leverage money and have them work for you. And that's the reason it's so important and is one of the best vehicles for you to create wealth, to build an asset, and to break the cycle of trading time for money. You see, that's why so many people are frustrated up until this point, because they've worked a business model that doesn't work. So I want to ask you that you commit to this, and you are going to see the results when you start to create the wealth and have the life and the dreams and the time freedom that you deserve. You have chosen the best business model, and you've chosen the best company in that business model. You are well on your way to success, and the next step, we're going to get you moving towards your goal and show you how to chart that course.